Unless there is an amendment to the proclamation on the floor right now, which I'm happy to entertain, I'd like for us to deal with this proclamation. And I will say, if there's a resolution that's brought forth, we can continue and have that on the agenda. I really think this is work that the Wildlife Committee needs to do. I do not believe that there is unanimity on this commission on what the recommendation is. And if an amendment is proposed today to have a drastic change in the tagging system, I think that that would be a mistake and would strongly oppose it. And so unless there is a specific amendment to this proclamation on this topic, which I will entertain right now, I'd like to get us back to this proclamation and ask the chairman of the Wildlife Committee to continue digging into this important issue. Yes, sir.
So what's the publication date of the Hunter Guide?
June 30 would be the deadline.
That was for us to make final changes, correct, into it, because it's typically printed in July. Correct? Yeah.
Don, haven't we delayed that in the past and got it done in timely?
To some, a little bit, maybe, a couple of weeks. Yes.
Commissioner Cook?
So I don't know, can we do this outside of commission? Can we, over the next 2 months, can the Wildlife Committee and the agency try to figure this out so that if we can publish something in the Hunter Guide? Is that something?
I think it would be totally appropriate for the Wildlife Committee and the agency and any other members of commission to work towards finding a solvable answer on this. I would love for us to do that. I think that if this is a solvable problem, which there are a lot of smart folks within the agency, on the commission and the public, I think that would be an outstanding idea. We can certainly add a committee meeting if that is necessary. We've got electronic means for doing that. I do think that getting a baseline of understanding would be a great first step for members of commission. And so we'll be completely flexible in that effort to work with urgency.
What's your opinion of that, Commissioner Cox?
I'm great with that.
Great. Great. Director Carter, does that work? Excellent. And we'll do everything we can to make sure you're accommodated on meetings and anything else. Excellent. Great. Any other questions on Proclamation 1704? Great. Any discussion from the public? Yes, sir. Welcome. We're in your neighborhood. I'm glad you're commenting.
Actually, this is what I originally came about. All of you got an email from me, with exception of Mr. Sanders. You didn't get a copy, but I will forward it to you. Specifically on this topic, is my number one thing on this topic. And I would ask, it sounds like everybody's in favor of some kind of tagging system. Every agency personnel I've talked to is in favor of it. And I'd ask you to look at it a little bit differently. Instead of asking how much does this cost, does this cost too much, I would rather you ask, what is it costing us not having it? It's costing us a lot more than just money not having a tagging system. So we really, truly need to come up with something, and something that's enforceable that our officers can actually go out and, make sure people are in compliance with.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion from members of the public? Great. Then back on the proclamation, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of Proclamation 1704 say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Excellent. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. With that, just to give us it's 11 o'clock. I'll say to partners on commission, tend to your business as you need to. We do have a public, would love, before we go into fisheries, we've got a member of the local community. I'd love to give him an opportunity before the break for lunch to go ahead and visit with us. And then perhaps we'll do a break for lunch after that and go into fisheries. Does that work for you all? So it'll probably be another 15 minutes. Okay, I will get busy working on that. We've got a lot of business ahead of that, and so let me work on that. And if we can get a hard stop time on when the Brant team is traveling, we'll do everything we can to accommodate. With that, then I'd love to recognize Dennis Tumlin. Welcome, we're thrilled that you're here. Ray County Economic and Community Development Leader, and we've been looking forward to your presentation. We thought you were going to be with us yesterday, but we've been really looking forward to this, so thank you.
I want to thank Commissioner Swan for working it out to get me here. Sorry, got the wires crossed, but you guys do a very important job in managing the resource, but I also want to give you a look at economic development, what managing a good resource does for a community. And I've been blessed with the honor to also serve on Governor Haslam's Rural Task Force on Tourism, so I get to go across the state. And basically what we have here is a template that is being shared across the state for other cities, small counties to duplicate. This is very duplicatable. And from an economic perspective, was always also able to present this to the Appalachian Regional Commission recently. 13 states that are represented in the state of North Carolina had me come in and present recently in February to the state of North Carolina Department of Tourism. So a lot of folks are looking at this, but hats off to you guys. Mike Jolly and your team, the guys that created the fisheries part of it, but it takes the rest of the puzzle to come in, and I'm going to talk about that puzzle right quick. So how does a fishery lead to jobs? How does it lead to industry? I'm going to make a connection for you. Did anybody hear about the big tire announcement Ray County got recently? 400 jobs. When it's completely built out, it will be over 1,500 jobs, about $1.5 billion investment. So what's the connection between the natural resource and jobs for a small community? We are a Tier 4 federally recognized economically distressed county, which means we are in the bottom 10% of many factors in the United States. We're in the bottom 10%. What that tells you is what we've always done is not working. If you continue to do what you've always done, you will get what you've always got. So about 3 years ago, we began to look at what can we do to dig our way out of Tier 4 economically distressed. And the bottom line is cash flow. We have limited opportunity, and we began to look for cash flow. Tourism pays monthly. When you have tourism, you get paid monthly. Industry is a long-term proposition. It takes time to develop industry. So you need cash flow and you need long-term proposition. So this is how we looked at this. My background is I grew up here, but I moved away after college and spent some time with Coca-Cola, about 16 years. And at Coca-Cola, we're about brand building. Our job is to convince you that one carbonated sugar beverage is better than another. We've made it so cool that you will not let little Johnny carry a Sam's Choice out in public because everybody will think little Johnny's so broke he can't afford a Coke. So that is the power of marketing. That's the power of brand building. And we've taken the same concept to Fish Dayton, and we want to make it where we are the destination of choice for you to come. It is no longer cool to go fish somewhere else when you have a choice. You're going to come and fish the spot. Here's the problem with small communities. We're resistant to change. We've always done it this way. The leadership has always done it this way. It's tough for a young guy to come in and start talking fast, and I scare county commissioners and city councilmen. But you can't be afraid of change. You're going to have to change or you stay in the bottom 10%. You begin to think of economic development as more than a one-legged stool. For so many communities, we want to think about industry, and that's very important, but you got to think about agriculture, tourism, entrepreneurship. You got to think about the other resources to build a strong economy. We began to look at tourism and other communities, what they were doing with tourism, and we had to ask, why not us? If it works for Crossville, Tennessee, if they can brand themselves the golf capital of Tennessee, why can we not be good at something? So we began to look at tourism. First of all, step one, I share with communities, you have to believe. If you yourself as leadership do not believe that you can be the best, there's no need in doing it. You first have to believe that you're the best destination, so believe. Whatever your opportunity is, if you have a lake, then be the best. If you have a mule day, be the best. If you have a pile of rocks, be the doggone best pile of rock town in the community or in the state. Rock City convinces 400,000 people a year to come to the top of Lookout Mountain and look at a pile of rocks. That's the power of branding. Be the best rock place in the world. Everybody has a pile of rocks. We had a lake, and you guys had a huge, you and TVA, you guys created an awesome resource for us. Began a long time ago. We began catching some awesome fish. That makes a tourism economic development guy's dream. Then I began branding and marketing. We created Fish Dayton in 2011, And it's not about a one-time event. It is about a destination. It's about brand building. It's 365 days initiative. It's not about a tournament. So we are intentional, very intentional. We began chasing events and opportunities, and this is what my 2014 schedule looks like. And every year since 2014, that's about what my weekends look like. We host between 30 and 35 events per year, and that means economic impact. 30 to 35 events per year. ESPN has been in town. NBC Sports Network. The crowds show up and they follow these guys. We love the pros, but to be honest with you, the amateurs spend a whole lot more money than the pros. The pros are fun. The pros help support brand building, but I love the amateur events, and I actually like high school and college probably better than any. Just this past year, here's a picture of the Dayton Boat Dock. 347 boats in the Bassmaster High School Open, Southern Open. That set a Bassmaster organization all-time record, 347 boats. Almost 3,000 spectators showed up. Mom, Dad, Grandma, and Grandpa come to watch little Johnny. And many of these were from out of state. They're buying license, and this is how it continues to feed your pipeline is license. We lost 70. We had 420 boats pre-registered, and the flood of that week cost us about 70 boats. We still set a record with 347, but we had 420 pre-registered. It takes a heck of a team. I'm not the guy that I get to talk about it, but we've got about 40 volunteers that help make this happen. This is not my show, but it's a heck of a team that it takes to make this happen. When you look at the Dayton Boat Dock, you wonder how could they make that happen there? It's because of all the volunteers we have and a heck of a team. We also continue, we do good things. We're not just a taker of the resource. We want to give back. We partnered with you guys recently, and thanks for the grant of cypress and water oaks that we were able to plant around Chickamauga. Again, brand building. It's about forming your opinion. Through a grant with the Tennessee Department of Tourism, we were able to partner with a pro angler, and we put our boat on the tour. Again, back to brand building. We want our destination to be a destination of choice. We want to be relevant in the industry. The little logo that's circled in the yellow box is a requirement of the Department of Tourism grant we received from Commissioner Kevin Triplett, and they love what we do and ask us to share this story all over the state. Again, brand building. This is national media that we get out inside the industry, and here's some more national recognition that we continue to receive. We pay attention to all the social aspects. We do the social media. We monitor that, but this is the mayor of every town. The mayor says, I don't give a rip about your Facebook, your Twitter, and Insta, whatever that thing's called. He says, I don't care. Show me the money, and this is where you get attention. Tourism delivers the tax trifecta, I call it. You get sales tax, lodging tax, and if you will stick to it long enough, you'll eventually see property taxes. You start with sales tax, lodging tax, property taxes come. Here's a snapshot of my lodging, my growth since 2014. We have added 7,781 hotel night stays since 2014 in this community. This is a small town. That's about $3.5 million a year in hotel business. And the train is being driven by economic development through the natural resource. It is a driver. Here's my sales tax collection chart for the city of Dayton. Since we started chasing tourism, and I call it tourism because people don't like you to say we chase fishing, we chase tourism, which happens to be fishing. We brought in $690,000 more dollars in taxes, sales tax collection, 2016, than the year when we started, $690,000. That is in the sales tax window, 11.4% growth. If you can drive your bottom line 11.4% in anything that you're working on, that's a pretty good number. But here's the real winner. The real winner, 59.1% of that goes to education. Education locally is the real winner. I won't make the statement that it is paying for schools. That is taking burden off of local taxpayers to contribute to schools. It is a contributor, and it keeps the local people from having to pay as much. So there's a win. Now this is where the property tax shows up. If you stick to it long enough, investors, capital folks will start investing their own private capital, take advantage of what we have going. $2.6 million was invested recently. If you haven't been to Blue Water Lodge here in Dayton, take the opportunity while you're here and run out and check out Blue Water. It will rival anything you find anywhere in the state. It is top notch. It is completely full right now. I have a group of National Guardsmen from all across the country in town fishing today. I had a midweek tournament kickoff, 150 anglers, and Blue Water's ground zero. We also had the Sleep Inn built. $7 million project strictly because we did not have enough hotel rooms in town. So there's more property tax. When the hotel went up, all these restaurants saw the growth. We had Waffle House, Bojangles, Zaxby's, and a private chain called Carabelle's popped up, all related to the hotel, which came because of fishing. In all, we can link $15 million in private investment in Dayton since we began chasing tourism. But here's the kicker. It means 107 jobs in a small rural town directly linked to tourism. The guys at the bottom are taking a toast. Monkeytown Brewing Company opened up recently, some entrepreneurs, and they're doing very well. The fishing crowd enjoys craft beer and goes downtown. TWRA has been awesome with helping us with grants. You can't do it without the proper infrastructure. When I talk to other communities, the biggest missing link is adequate parking, adequate ramps, adequate courtesy docks. Matt Clary has been awesome to work with us on our master plan and our vision. And the Appalachian Regional Commission, as well as TVA, contribute to that pot as well. And so what do? I don't want to come across that all we do is take the resource. We are very intentional with protecting the resource. I do not recruit an event in July or August. I do not recruit July or August. I don't want the fish being caught at 30 feet deep, hauled around a live well all day and brought to my weigh-in. I do not recruit July and August. I do not recruit November through February. Water conditions do not let me, so all of the growth I'm showing you is basically I have a 6-month fishing season. I'm able to chase, and everything you saw there has been done with 6-month fishing season. I also encourage 3 fish limits when possible. When a tournament organization comes in, I typically will ask them, can they go to a 3 fish limit instead of a 5? Many of them will do that, and so we do that to protect the fishery. TWRA, my ask is continue looking at the fishery, monitoring it. Think of it as an economic engine. It is driving the economy of this town and many towns around us. Think of it as an economic engine. Stock as needed, let us know where we can help, and monitor guidelines that are needed. We're self-regulating a lot of things I just showed you, but if we need to step in and talk about regulations or common sense guidelines or suggestions, we're open to suggestions and encourage your support there. That's how economic development contributes to industry. The cash flow driven from tourism helped us when we were buying and acquiring the property 2 years in advance before this project showed up. The cash flow allowed us to say yes to a project that without the cash flow we would have had to say no to. That acquisition required 7 parcels to be purchased, roughly $4 million, $4.4 million in acquisition, and we had no way to pay for it without cash flow. So I wanted to make that link to you, that it helps. If I can help you, please let me know. Thank you for all you do. And thanks for being at Bryan College. They're currently #1 in the nation in fishing, college fishing, and expected to win the Cabela School of the Year race in Alabama this week. So thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Mr. Tumlin, hold on. I want to make sure somebody might have a question for you. Stay up here with us just real quick. First, we are so excited to hear from you. From the minute we crossed into this county, we knew we were at a place that was friendly to anglers, friendly to sportsmen and women, and it's really been exciting to be here and learn more about all the wonderful things that are happening here all over the community. And it's an example for other communities, and there are several members of commission who were talking about, I wonder what this would look like in my community, and it's definitely a model, I think, not only in Tennessee, but around the country, so bravo, bravo. Any questions, Commissioner Baker? Any questions or thoughts?
I'd just like to say, thank you for setting such a great example. The people up in my area in Jefferson County you got the ball rolling, they grabbed it and have taken off up in Jefferson County to bring things along up there. We have so many other opportunities in this state for other people to follow your model that you've set. Thank you for doing an outstanding job for me personally.
Thank you, sir.
Great. Thank you so much. Any other, Commissioner Swan?
Excuse me, I'd just like to thank Dennis. I've watched you on Facebook for several years now. It's been amazing what you've done here in this county, and hopefully your business model will spread to the rest of the state. Thank you.
Absolutely. I couldn't do it without the team. I get a lot of credit, but it's truly the team that does it, and you guys are part of that. You help with the resource, Mike Jolly and his group, and Brian Lettner. Those guys do a great job. Whoever represents Monroe County, just know that Monroe County reached out this week, and we are working on an opportunity on Tellico Lake, and we're helping those guys out. So we're sharing as needed.
Great.
Thank you.
Great. Commissioner Cox?
Madam Chairman, this presentation and some like it would be appropriate in our effort for additional funding, whether it's possibly something with sales tax or whatever that's been talked about over the years. This is exactly what, if the agency had the money to invest in other counties like Hardeman County that's trying to get a lake, and Carroll County's got one, and those kinds of things to develop fishing, this is what can happen. And I think this is as good a sales pitch for that portion of the sales taxes for the agencies we could have.
Thank you.
One comment, when the brick and mortar starts showing up, the critics calm down. The critics, sometimes you present tax reports, tax charts, and there's some critics, but when the brick and mortar showed up for one reason, the only reason Sleep Inn came to town was to support tourism. The only reason Blue Water Lodge was built was to support tourism, and that's $160,000 a year in property taxes that we would not have received. The brick and mortar helps people to see the vision, and we got a good model. We'll share it anywhere you want us to.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you. Excellent. I appreciate everybody's flexibility today. We've got some partners who are later on the agenda who've have a flight to catch, and so I'm going to give a quick poll for my colleagues on commission. We've got, I think, as many options as you want, but I'll give you a couple of options. Number one is take about a 20-minute break to tend to business and have a working lunch, or have a 10-minute break and then hear the presentations, which will likely take us to noon, 12:15, and then break for lunch. So the real question is would you like to work through lunch?
Yes.
I've got 3 yes, 4 yes. Any objections to working through lunch? Great. So how about we do this? At 11:35, we get back in here. We have box lunches. Thank you to our partners at the agency. If we can be in here, and we'll go ahead, if there's no objection, and move back into committee to talk with the Retention and Recruitment Committee to hear from our partners at Brant and a guest from Georgia who's here. And then we'll get back to the commission agenda if that works for everybody. I appreciate everybody's patience. Thank you very much. We'll be back in 20 minutes.